Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the eCom Growth Show. I am your host, Danan Coleman. I've got two very special people with me, one of them from deep inside the Amazon space, one of them not. So I have with me Amra and Nate. They're from ALL3D, and we're going to go into what that is in a little bit. I'll introduce Nate first, and then Amra, I'd like to introduce you, okay?
No
Okay,
worries.
awesome. So Nate, you are slightly familiar with Amazon. How did you end up here? What are you doing? Because I know you from the days of partner development and Buy with Prime.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened before that as well. So Nate Slonaker, I'm the director of Amazon here at ALL3D. Newer to the company, I joined in December. But before that, I spent nearly 6 years at Amazon. I started Amazon on the global selling team, recruiting U.S. consumable sellers to Amazon Japan. So I learned a lot about international expansion and some of the challenges in that realm. I then spent 3 years at Amazon Launchpad. I know many may be familiar with that program. It's gone through many iterations and changes. Used to be Amazon exclusives, but in that role, recruited unique and innovative products to Amazon. And then the opportunity to join a new program called Buy with Prime, which, many sellers out there may be familiar. It's enabling Prime shipping on your own direct-to-consumer website. And then when you and I met, I got the opportunity to still work in the Amazon seller world, but more with our partners. And so I was on the NSS agency partner team. And that was really just about establishing relationships with third-party providers and partners that provide a ton of value to our selling partners or the Amazon selling partners. So it was a great way to provide value in that way. But the opportunity came up at ALL3D to stay in the Amazon ecosystem, but, take my 6 years of experience and really take a risk and join a startup that I believe in and see a lot of value in and what they were able to show me in a short amount of time. And even in my 2.5 months here at ALL3D, the strides that we've made have been quite impressive. And I'm very excited about the future of how we can positively impact Amazon selling partners, both Amazon business, but also their e-commerce business.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So Amra, would you please also introduce yourself? So you do not come from the Amazon space, but you are bringing a product that, if I understood you correctly, you want to revolutionize not just the Amazon space, but e-com in general. Tell us about yourself.
Yes. So I'm a technologist and my background is electrical engineering and computer science from Sydney, Australia.
Wow.
So I am definitely a citizen of the world, born in Pakistan, went to high school in Australia, came to the US to go to Harvard Business School, and then worked in many different areas, but mainly technology. And what I love doing is taking a piece of technology and productizing it. Basically, that's my background.
Cool.
Through an acquisition of a startup by Bed Bath & Beyond, I led innovation for Bed Bath, and I realized that a lot of these retailers, they do digital merchandising. They have a set made and they get all their vendor products shipped and then they photograph it. And the interesting thing about the photograph is that, the vendors who sell on Bed Bath or Walmart or Amazon sold it everywhere because they wanted their products to have the highest distribution as possible. But what would end up happening if Amazon was fast, by the time Bed Bath did their catalog or their website and put the beautiful images of different products together, those products were out of stock. So I totally remembering them launching it and the product, and you can Photoshop in an image, but you really cannot. So I told the CEO, why don't I do this in 3D? And we did it 1/10 of the cost and really fast. So you know how these photography things is, you develop an art direction deck and you get the products that you want to showcase. You want the props, you rent a place or you get a camera to photograph it.
You hire
talent.
Exactly.
Exactly. That whole process it takes a long time and it's very expensive and those images are perishable. So that's how you sell on e-commerce, through images today. And being in Bed Bath & Beyond, it was interesting that I realized that their stores were still more immersive, even though they had issues with stores. But, they did their merchandising, putting products together, serendipity that you would go buy it. And, the conversion rates once you're in a store is 40%. And then return rates also go down. But in an e-com setting for a direct-to-consumer or an Amazon seller, if you have a 5% conversion rate, you're doing really well. And of course, high returns. So how can we move that 3D digital merchandising of products into an e-com world is what my aha moment was. That, right now with 3D, what we're doing is we're just creating a virtual photography studio, but we're still creating images for the website so that users can put it on or sellers can put it on their website. But we are creating these 3D visuals and life-size products. So imagine with augmented reality, the future of retail is consumers are going to buy things looking around or putting them on in their homes.
Yeah.
And you're going to have other products that go with them. And just imagine that is the world we're heading to. So e-commerce is going to become itself 3D,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
we're just going to be ready. But even today with augmented reality, if you have a 3D model of your product on an Amazon has a 3D viewer and a spinner and you put it in your room. They're starting to do it because we're integrated with their 3D API for Amazon sellers.
I was going to
You got
ask.
it. So what ends up happening is if you make a 3D model on Amazon and push it to your store, Amazon's done studies that the conversion rates can go up by 50%. No matter what your conversion rate is, it goes up. Because the person or the seller, not the seller, the consumer can go around, walk around it, see how it fits. I recently bought a garbage can, from Amazon. It's a tiny garbage can, but I wanted to make sure it fit between the vanity and the toilet in my son's bathroom.
Right.
Of course, I went in there and I viewed it and it fit, so I bought it. You know what I mean? So just imagine all those applications of a 3D model in augmented reality, even today, how you can sell your products if it has.
Yes.
Sorry, a long-winded answer, but
no. That was great. Thanks for coming on the show. That's it, everybody. She's revolutionized ecom. Yeah. I like that a lot.
And I love seeing pretty pictures of products. That makes me buy. If a product's in a white background, I don't buy it. But if I see it in a nice environment, my God, I would buy it. But then I'm also a return person. I return a lot of things, which is not good.
Well, look, I think today, because we can't pick it up, because we can't touch it, feel it, see it in its place, that we have to buy it to find out, right?
Yes.
So there is a lot of logistics involved just to determine, do I actually want this product? So unless I mistake, unless I mistake myself, I'm mistaken. You intend to understood that you want to revolutionize. I agree with this. It's going there. It's been going there for some time, but you could also inadvertently, technically, reduce the number of returns because someone can see if it fits in their space. So not only can you increase their conversion rate, but reduce returns because they have a lot more confidence that that's the right product for where they want to put it or whatever, right?
Exactly. And just to imagine, as you said, logistics, and I never mentioned the logistics part of it. Shipping products, the amount of environmental damage, it's bad for retail. So imagine if you can view it and first you don't return, but it's shipped to my house. You know what I mean? So it's gone through that whole process. So I think the 3D retail becomes very sustainable. And now imagine one step further. You can make a product in 3D and, maybe put it on Amazon and say pre-order or something. And if people like it, then you can manufacture or get it in volume to these customers. So you even reduce the manufacturing and sampling costs. So do you see how 3Dizing products in design stage, in marketing stage, reduces that whole footprint? And then you don't produce garbage that then you promote, people buy and then dump it as fast fashion or fast products in the landfills. So all that problems goes away. And you really buy things that you love and you want to use.
I'll take another industry where an example of this is homes, buying a home or renting a home. You have these people that run through there with these 3D cameras and you can actually do a digital walkthrough, right? That probably eliminates, because my wife and I, we were looking for a home recently, and we probably eliminated 90% more than what would have looked good on camera, just on regular images, because we could see the scope of things, right?
Yes,
we go, okay,
exactly.
If the counter's that big or the door's that big and the wall's only right there and we see only 12 bricks, this thing's 12 and, this thing's only 12 feet wide or whatever, right?
Yes.
And so I definitely see, so I think it's great to be able to see a 3D render of a product on Amazon and just spin it around and go, does it have the ports that I need? If I'm looking for something electrical, right? Does it have the ports, right? I once bought a TV, had it delivered, and went, shit, this has only got one HDMI port. I need 3, but I never saw the ports on there, right? And so I return that TV, right? So there is the purchase, the transaction, me waiting while it ships, me getting it, opening it, and going, oh my gosh, this doesn't have what I need. Repackaging it, now an open product, driving it to Costco, which is where I bought it from, returning it, and like, here's the 65-inch TV. You guys take care of it because it doesn't have what I need, right?
And you know this, when you return an item, there's restocking fee. These retailers have to restock it. Someone has to observe it. And then they have to figure out whether they are going to send it back to the vendor or they are going to, sell it on a secondary market. If every time return, depending on the value of the product, you lose about 60% of the price of in returns. All these places where all these low margin retailers lose a lot of money on returns. So we never even talk about that. We more focus on the seller side and we sell more products, that people can actually visualize.
Yeah. Well, let's move this over into Amazon specifically. Actually, I'm not going to say Amazon specifically, ecom specifically. So Amazon, Walmart. I don't know. Nate, do you know if Walmart has a 3D viewer
on the Walmart marketplace?
Yeah,
I actually couldn't answer that. I'm not sure. Amra, do you
okay.
know? I know.
I don't shop on
Don't know.
Walmart. I'm an Amazon person. I'm one of their, living in San Francisco, it's like everything one product at a time, which they probably hate me, but I have never shopped on Walmart.com, unfortunately.
Well, no matter what, it's going to come. If it's not there now, it's going to come. If it's not on Shopify right now, it's going to come. If it's not on WooCommerce right now, it'll be there.
I think Shopify does have a 3D player.
Okay,
I think
it does.
It's there.
They're Shopify PDPs. It's easy to upload a GLB file, which is one of the formats that we offer through ALL3D. As easy as it is to upload it in Image Manager and Seller Central, you just upload it to the PDP in the back end in Shopify, and it's then customers can interact with it, engage with it.
All right, sweet. So we've got the 3D, but you also talked about AR, which for those of you that aren't savvy in technology, that's augmented reality, where you can take your phone or glasses, but let's just say your phone, and point it at an area. And because your phone has the infrared, I think it's the infrared sensors that can look at scale and stuff like that, you can actually place items. Say you're looking at a couch. Who wants to buy a couch to find out that they hate it when it arrives? Forget that. So if you can place it and it's to scale in your space, and you can actually look at that couch and change it and all that stuff. That, I think, is where Amazon needs to be going next, if they don't already have that. Nate, do they have that?
They definitely have it. And, I'm still in touch with, some of my former colleagues at Amazon. And, the listings that have augmented reality or AR enabled, the view in your room or that 3D spinner, they perform at a much higher rate than listings without. And as you know, Amazon's a very competitive space, as everyone listening to this knows, right? Each category, each page, like every little detail matters. And, one listing has view in my room and the other one doesn't. I mean, just naturally customers are going to kind of revert back to that listing. And from what I've heard, and again, this is not confirmed or verified, but the rumbling is that Amazon may move to make some of that required on their listings, because as we've talked about, returns are not only a headache for the seller, it's also the customer and even Amazon, right? And returns are expensive.
Absolutely.
In a number of ways. So with the impact that, augmented reality has on that, Amazon is, from what I hear, contemplating making that required for certain products or categories.
That actually makes sense. So then that ties well, and maybe you even answered my next question, which is, how does this technology give Amazon sellers an edge over competitors? So that is definitely an edge right there, is that you said there's a much higher conversion rate if they've got that. How else does your technology give Amazon sellers an edge, or just Amazon sellers, but ecom in general?
Yeah. So, Amra, I'll go for that one quickly.
Yes.
Over my 6 years at Amazon, I talk with thousands of sellers, right? Hundreds of agencies, thousands of sellers. And, you hear a lot of stories of just, these small businesses wearing a lot of hats, marketing assets and photography might fall down the ladder a little bit, because there's things like managing the listing and optimizing sponsored products. So, you think images maybe take a back seat, when really that's the first thing customers see, right? And not a lot of Amazon customers are reading all the bullet points and reading the description and all of that. They're looking at the images and looking at the A+ content, which, should be on there. And so just, if everybody has the images and has all this content, how are you going to differentiate yourself? And not all listings have the view in my room or the 3D spinner. And to take it a step further, we can help sellers even generate lifestyle images and things like that, high resolution product images, all virtually and digitally, at a fraction of the cost and at a much faster rate. I mean, I've heard horror stories from, and I'm sure you've heard from others, like trying to get assets made and relying on third parties. It's very expensive. It can take time. I recently talked with a buddy that sells on Amazon, and they, kind of a perfect use case for ALL3D. They sent physical product into a provider in Utah, took 6 weeks, cost them $3,500, and the assets they got back were almost unusable. And so they reached out to me when they saw I joined ALL3D, and in less than a week, we had their images live on Amazon, both with the high resolution product images, and they used our PNG files to make their A+ content.
That's awesome. So you're not only doing 3D, so you can actually set up a space. Now you've given me a demo of this, and this is awesome to me. You can set up a space, place your product. First of all, it looks really good. You can change the direction of the lighting, the angle, and the height of the camera. You can change everything. So you can figure out on your own inside of a digital ecosphere, what is the best placement of my product? Where do I get the best aspect ratio, right? And so not only can you take and create 3D models of your products, but you can also use that to create any lifestyle image you want. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll speak to that, and I'll let Amra, she knows way more about what's called the ALL3D scene creator. But just for some context as well, we can create a 3D model with just 2 2D images. So the seller I helped out, that's an Amazonian, he just sent me 2 pictures of the product on his desk at home, and we made that 3D model. And once you have that 3D model, it's the foundation. It unlocks things like high resolution product images, augmented reality, 3D, 360 spinners, high resolution photorealistic lifestyle images. So it's really a lot of possibilities are unlocked.
Yeah, let me stop you right there. So, because I have produced 3D renderings before for clients of mine, all right? And I hired someone that works for a humongous 3D rendering firm in the UK, and it's expensive, right? So what you just said was I can send you some iPhone photos, and then you guys can 3D model it. Lighting, color,
material. You can even upload material swatches to our portal.
Texture.
And we'll match it with the texture, everything. Yeah, and it's another differentiator we have, because I know some providers out there have longer SLAs. Our SLA is 24 to 48 hours for that initial model. And it's not like a one and done, you own that model, but also we want to make sure it's perfect for you. So we have a review process. So we put it through QA, and then we present it to you. And if there's, something off, your product better than we do. And this is a learning opportunity together to make it right. And so we can go through multiple iterations of review, so it's spot on before you start creating those assets.
Okay. All right. Question for Amra. Amra, there are these insanely expensive devices that you can purchase and put a product in there and have it, photograph your product from all different angles and then produce a 3D render. You guys can do that for not an $8,000 machine. How'd you do it?
It's actually not that complicated. And the fact that I've been in this 3D
maybe.
space from
says the electrical engineer from
2017.
Harvard.
So it just depends where you are in the technical evolution of the company. We didn't start in 2011. Most of our competitors did. We started March 2020, 2 weeks before COVID.
Nice.
I quit my job to start the company, and the world shut down. I have no paycheck, nothing, bunch of engineers.
Yes.
That I want to build a platform on. So what we do is, the more images of your product from your iPhone that you take, the more accurate the product becomes. And what we do today is you give us images, dimensions, whatever you can give us.
Okay.
And you can upload on our website all the information. So we're also a self-serve website. So it's very easy. You upload information to create a 3D model. And you choose that you want it for augmented reality, you want it for images, because the augmented reality model is lighter because you have to view it in your cell phone, versus in the images, you want everything to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you wanted, the nuts and bolts and more about your electrical outlets, and just zoom into that and upload. So what we do is we send it to our marketplace of 3D modelers, as well as Air AI, to create that model based on those images and make sure that everything's very accurate. And then we get our visual QA guys to QA it to make sure, based on what you uploaded, that was done. And then you do the eventual QA. So if you didn't put the image of the backside of something or underneath it, and you don't see it in the model, then you can also upload another image, because your product, and we can just reject it, and we'll make sure it's made that way. So the backwards and forward process until it's extremely accurate happens that way. And we don't charge you for sending backwards because we want you to be happy. We give a happiness. We don't return, because it's digital and it's already worked in our system, but we give a happiness guarantee that, you will be happy with the model you made. Now, once your model is made, we have virtual sets of environments and rooms and outdoor spaces and props. Like if you want to put your, what was that cube device, Nate, that the Amazon seller did?
This stock cube. So a use case for that, and for some context for those listening, I was at CES in Vegas in January, and, kind of to your point, Danan, like some of those high ASP products that have a lot of ports or electrical, you're going to spend a few $1,000s on something, you want to look at every inch of the product. And so having a 3D model, you could spin around, look at those ports, make sure it has everything you need. He was a good use case because it's a stock cube. It's a stock ticker. That's what it sounds like. It's a cube. But he only had 2D images of it. So customers thought there were screens on all 5 sides that were facing up. But it was really just 3. And so he was really interested in the 3D spinner. So customers could spin it around and really zoom in and see every aspect of it, all the ports, and then realize on the backside there's not the screens, but also very interested in the AR because it's a little bit larger than you'd think it would be. And so I tested and put it on my desk. So, it's going to fit the space that you intended to go.
With them, they also produce a lifestyle image. So they chose, our room, our virtual set. They chose a table from our prop library. And then they put, the cube and a computer from our prop library, which is actually all accurate to physical sizes.
Right. I was just going to say, it's all accurate.
Exactly. And so that's why they can see compared to MacBook Pro how big the cube is on the table. You know what I mean? In Photoshop, you don't get the idea of sizing at all. So that's why it's important to do it in 3D and then render it as an image that you can upload on a 2D web.
Yeah. Yeah. I go back to, and Nate, I know you probably can't say much about this, but I can because I never worked at Amazon. But the crap lifestyle images that come from these cheap Chinese brands that are like the aspect ratio is so far off that the puppy is twice the size of the product, but the product is supposed to be twice the size of the puppy kind of a thing. So you don't have to worry about that because when I send you, let's actually, you probably can't see it, but I produce knives, right? I do handmade knives. And so if I give you the dimensions of that knife, every prop you have in your 3D system is true to size, right?
Yes.
So if I put a knife on a table, it's going to be the correct aspect ratio on the table, not be a massive Bowie knife on a dining room table with a happy family eating around with turkey on there, right?
You absolutely got it. But I will tell you, one of our really large customers, I was very true to dimensions when I first started the company, extremely true. But sometimes they don't want to change the size of the product, but they want to change the size of the props because they're feeling this props very small. So we added that ability that in the scene creator for your images, you can change the sizes of the props. Yeah, because sometimes you want to scale them. But usually if a prop is a prop is a prop, I don't want to scale it. But sometimes, the glass water, if you're putting something next to a glass, the size of the glass matters, so you can scale it.
Sure.
So you can do that, but we always prefer that your hero product is always to scale, that you never scale it, unless you're going to do it yourself. Just for that scene or that image, but your model, it will always be accurate. It won't get changed.
Yeah. And so, that goes into another feature of your renderer is what is it called? What'd you call it again? I know you said it like 7 times. Okay.
Render is the ability to take a 3D scene and make it as a 2D image. It's called rendering or CGI. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. You can do that.
Scene creator. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yes. Oh, that's Nate. Yeah. The tool.
Yeah, the tool. So if you want to zoom in on a product though, you just scale it in, right?
No, so we have a virtual camera in the scene creator. So you can zoom in, you can change the focal length of the camera, you can move the camera up, you can move the camera sideways, then you can take an image of it, and then you can change the aspect ratio, you can change the resolution, whether you want a 2K, 4K, custom resolution, entering pixel sizes, you can do all of that. So we've built a whole virtual photography studio.
Yeah.
And that scene creator on ALL3D.
Let me ask you this, can you change the aperture? So that, can you change how much it blurs the background?
So depth of field we don't have today.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, it's very few people want to change to have a depth of field, but it's something we could do. So one
Okay.
thing is we also develop features based on our customer requirements. So
Well,
interestingly
cool.
enough, we have an AI image generator which has been trained. So a lot of the product images have blurred background, and I actually do not like it, but if the customer wants it, it can do it. So we're experimenting with AI, and AI, if you upload a product image, it doesn't know sizing. So today, 2D to 2D, so it's got the same issues today, but over time it may change.
Okay,
Yeah, and
awesome.
I'd
All
say
right.
with the scene creator, just from my perspective, in my short time, the scene creator, if you want to like photorealistic image for the cover of your catalog or your
Oh,
e-commerce
yes.
homepage, that's the path to take. If you're trying to quickly generate like a lifestyle image to promote back to school or New Year, New You or holiday, the AI creator can be a great tool to quickly generate an image for like an Instagram post or something like that. So there's different use cases for each tool that we essentially have.
Right. I didn't even think about social media. So,
Yes, you can use all our images on social media too. And actually,
Yeah,
for
and
mm,
even in our scene creator, when you generate the image, there's an option to optimize it for an Instagram or Facebook post, the aspect ratio.
wow. All right. Next up, Amra, rendered video with your product, with your 3D rendered product.
So we do today 360s, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
of the product, or the 360 of a space it's in you can
Yeah.
upload. So yes, we do that, but you can then use it in the video and, put your own music and just do the 360 spin as fast or slow. But yes, we could do that too, but we haven't
Cool.
productized it because
Cool.
the web is still more image based, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, here's my next question. What types of sellers benefit the most from 3D product imagery? And Nate, this is directed at you, since you're Amazon, and that's more or less what I'm catered to. What kinds of sellers are going to benefit from this tool? And I realize that anyone technically could, but let's talk about AR and 360 and someone able to utilize that aspect of Amazon's listings in their listing.
Yeah, I'd say anyone that sells a physical product on Amazon, but the caveat to that is you need brand registry. So typically brand owners would leverage that tool because to upload that GOV file, you have to have the brand rep tag in the back end. But as I mentioned before, as Amazon kind of toys with the idea of making it a requirement, if you have brand registry and sell a product, it'd be good for you to differentiate yourself by having that on your listing because it's competitive enough as it is. Like you want to stand out. But I'd say, we work with all types of products, from home furniture to consumable type products to, electronics. I think there's a valid use case for each one of those. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to compete and grow a business on Amazon, pulling every lever that you have access to is going to be critical. And so anyone not currently leveraging that, it's a miss. And, I think the misconception is, some of you mentioned, an $8,000 machine to do a 3D model. Ours is not that. To create a 3D model through All3D is $125. And you can, within a matter of days, you can submit 2D photos and have that 3D model uploaded into Amazon, leveraging our API.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I'll tell you, we are a subscription-based model today. And so you have to sign in a monthly subscription, annual subscription. So there is a limit, what is on the pricing page today of what type of seller. But thanks to Nate, we are also creating a page for one-offs Amazon packet. You know what I mean? For one
Yeah.
product to try that as well. So that users who are not big sellers can use that. So it may be
quick
more
like a
expensive than subscription, but it gives them the flexibility.
even like a PDP type bundle, right? Everything that Amazon have access to, with 2D photos that you take with your iPhone, you can generate the hero images, the 3D spinner or the 360 spinner, the augmented reality, and then your lifestyle images,
Yes.
all in one package.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. And I'm glad you guys did that because Amazon sellers are used to doing a one-time payment for 9 images kind of a thing, right? From a photographer. So, okay, awesome. And let's see, I think my last big question here is if an Amazon seller wants to get started with All3D, what's the first step?
I'd say you can link them up with me. So, me as the director of Amazon, the reason why they brought me in is to really promote All3D and get it more in the Amazon ecosystem. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to support, there's millions of sellers out there that may not be familiar that they have access, and it's as easy as it is. You can get in contact with me, via email, just nate@all3d.ai. And we also have a website with a contact us field. You can add a comment there where you heard about us and what you're hoping to get out of it. But we have a great team, behind us that are there to support. And like Amra mentioned, the happiness rating, we want it as high as it can be and really just show people how easy it is to use our platform.
Cool. Couple more questions here. Do you need technical skills in order to use your guys' platform?
Not at all. In my short time, I've, been playing with our scene creator, been uploading models, creating models. I was at Amazon, but I was, on this different sales teams, and I was not super technical guy. I'm working, the thing I'm working on the most at this point is my design skills and where knickknack goes and what should be on the table next to the product.
Sure.
But I figured out
that's art.
That's me learning that. And I haven't really had to think twice about the technical piece of it because we made the platform so easy to just, get in there and play with it and learn as you go.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's very easy, but sometimes the seller does not have the creativity. We have templates they can use.
Yes.
But also
nice.
the bundle that Nate's talking about, we may also give them a time with a stylist. You know what I mean? So a stylist could help them train them, or could, once the model is made, could actually do the set design and with them.
And I know with, Amazon sellers, limited bandwidth, right? Like I said, you're managing sponsored product campaigns. You're getting your next shipment ready to inbound to FBA. You don't have time to, spend hours in the scene creator. Like, it's easy to get lost in that because it's so fun manipulating everything in the environment. If you don't have that amount of time, we do have a design team that can do it for you at a very reasonable rate. So we can generate some really high quality assets in a short amount of time.
So that's awesome.
Make sure that's included in the bundle. They can include it or delete it. And they could also have some training time. You know what I mean? Just if they are, they have some hard time. So once they're training, they come for all products. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's really great, because one of the things that I struggle with is how much time it takes to learn a new system, right? And so my immediate reaction is, all right, let me go on YouTube and find out how do I do this one thing that I'm trying to solve. But I spend time sifting through a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so I'll give you an example, my CRM, right? There's so much information out there on my CRM that I'm using, which is high level. And there's so much in it that when I just want this answer of like, how do I create a landing page for someone and then track that person as the source when it comes in, man, I can't find it. And so if you guys have something that is an intro, high level, this is what this can do, right? And then you go, now here are the details on this. Here are the details on this. I struggle, it's kind of funny. So even though I'm a content creator, right? Podcasting, that's just fun for me. But I have an adventure channel where I go off-roading and motorcycle riding and adventuring and stuff like that. I struggle with the creativity of it. And so all of my stories, they're not really stories at all. It's like, hey, I woke up and I ate breakfast. All right, here we are off-road, right? And so creativity, I think, is something that is supremely important, because the angle, 45 degrees rather than 25 degrees, could be the key difference maker of somebody stopping and looking at your image. So I think it's fantastic that you have someone that can help with that if someone feels they need it. So that's great. All right, cool. So I have more questions, but I actually think that we should just send people to you to try it. Is there some sort of trial or do you have any sort of demo that you guys do, or a demo video?
Yeah, that's on me. My job is to, like I said, promote ALL3D and get us more ingrained in the seller community. I'm so accustomed to talk with sellers. I love it. I would love to talk with even more sellers. So send anybody my way. I'm happy to show you the platform. Like I said, a quick demo. The learning curve is not super high, and it's great because with our platform, you can pick and choose which of our services you use. If you only need high resolution images, you can use it for that. If you only want lifestyles, or if you want the whole package, I'm happy to walk anybody through the entire thing and kind of tease out what might be the best fit in terms of, partnering together.
Cool. Well, I'm not an affiliate of you guys or anything like that. So it's just ALL3D.com, or is it .ai?
.ai.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So all3d.ai. Well, cool. Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast. I'm going to wrap it up right here. I think that we could probably talk about different scenarios until we're blue in the face, but ultimately I think that whoever's listening just needs to go to your website or get in touch with Nate and actually take a look. I've seen it. It's super simple. It's really impressive. But yeah, just go to all3d.com and just get in touch with them.
.ai.
Amra. .ai. Yes, all3d.ai.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Too bad I don't.
.com was too expensive. .com was too expensive.
Was it really? Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Someone parking on that domain.
I know, exactly. So even though we incorporated as ALL3D Inc., so we got that, but I couldn't get .com. At that point, I knew we had to have AI in it. So then I said, okay,
it
AI
makes
for
sense.
$16, we bought it.
Yeah, well, only for the first year. Then it's going to be like $75 a year. But anyhow, thank you both
thank you so much for having us.
being
This has
on.
been great. It's been great.
Absolutely. All right, I'll end it off here. Bye, everybody. See you on the next
See you
one.
guys.
Take care.